All right, everyone, now we have to talk about Michael Bloomberg. By the way, the cat's literally right here at the moment next to the microphone, so you might be hearing biffle noises. Sorry, maybe I'll give you ASMR, I don't know, and these fucking spoon clank going on and everything. It's a crazy day. But it's definitely politically crazy. It's the New Hampshire primaries, and now we're talking about Michael Bloomberg. He enters the race, and basically he enters at a mediocre 3.54, kind of sort of within the realm of viability, but that's, long before the voting begins. He's now surging. He's supplanted Buttigieg, even if Buttigieg manages to win Iowa, and it looks like he might be doing fairly well in New Hampshire, which, by the way, could make Buttigieg fully viable. If he comes in second in New Hampshire, or eclipses Sanders, manages to edge him out for first, and I've encouraged everyone to take a Dem ballot and vote for Buttigieg at this point to try to make that happen. If the closer polls are true, Buttigieg can win this with a few thousand extra votes. If the more distant polls are true, of course, that can't actually happen. Bernie Sanders has it in the bag, but we've got to do our part for the lulls. I was hoping Joe Biden would be nominee, but that's looking decreasingly likely. But imagine it were Michael Bloomberg. The dude who could play the penguin. By the way, this is Yana, not Farah, which is, a little bit odd, actually. She's decided, I guess, to be the keyboard at the moment. Bloomberg is a massively wealthy, crooked asshole. And everybody goddamn knows it. Where his support is coming from is goddamn beyond me, because it's kind of, he's the stop and frisk Democrat, but he doesn't have sort of the small town malarkey charm, if you can call it that, of Biden. He's just a corrupt asshole. That's really what Bloomberg has always been about. Nothing says we're going to stop Trump by fielding a rich old white dude against him, I suppose. Juan Williams. Pens a piece, because he's gotten really good at self-promotion these days. I guess he probably gets paid a four-figure sum just to write a few paragraphs, so it's a pretty cushy job. Saying that it's basically Bloomberg could actually do it, talking about the general. I think that if Michael Bloomberg were to be in the general against Trump, he'd get completely ass-blasted. I think he would be the biggest loser of all. I think if I had to rank the candidates in terms of if they were the nominee, assuming that there's no further scandals or anything really dirty going on in the race, if they were all winners today, without further ado, which ones would be the most viable? At the top would be Buttigieg. He would be the best candidate to put up against Trump. I still think he would be likely to lose, but he would be the least likely to lose. Second would be Warren. At this point, Biden falls to third. I would have put him in second until recently, but his dementia is getting worse. So oddly enough, that means deer in the headlights Chardonnay grandma is the second most viable, simply because she's female. There's a voting bloc that cares about this. Biden gets third. He's got the name recognition at least. I would definitely put, I think, Klobuchar in fourth, which is hilarious. Bernie Sanders in fifth. And then at the bottom of the heap of the technical viability level candidates, Klobuchar very, very tenuously there, by the way, I would put Michael Bloomberg. I think he's the least viable. But again, the extra qualifications you could have for the other candidates, like Buttigieg, in all honesty, while he's got less experience and stuff, he comes from a more normal background. He's not a rich dude even now, really, by, true politician standards. He's sort of an outsider. That would be his forte. The drawback is, of course, there are inner city voting blocks that don't like gay people, so that could be a problem for him, whining and dining the Jesus vote other than the rural one, which is lock, stock, and barrel for Trump, so no can do. Biden has his advantages. His disadvantages is obvious dementia, but he's Joe Biden. He's been VP under Obama, who was well-liked at least among partisan Dems. And you go on down the line. I'm trying to find out, other than the fact that he's massively wealthy, what advantage Bloomberg would have. Well, he never has to worry about money shortages. Well, that's wonderful. See, the problem is having money is uniquely a disqualifier at the moment for a lot of Dems. Can you imagine what the Sanders fans, by the way, there's hair floating around off the cap. Can you imagine what the Bernie Sanders fans would do if Michael Bloomberg managed to pull out the nomination from his ass? Can you imagine? It would be a revolt. And it'd be way worse than 2016. I'm talking a legitimate revolt where they refuse to vote and maybe even vote for Trump out of spite. You could see a Never Bloomberg movement much more easily rise up. At this point, at the very least, the economy is working for enough people in the lower rungs of society so that I think that would become a thing. I think Bloomberg would be crushed. That being said, he's viable for the primaries because he can flood the race with cash. But what he's been doing is flooding all of the latter states with enormous amounts of money, in some cases outspending everyone else combined. That means that he is slowly growing his support irrespective of the fact that he sucks as a candidate. Simply because in some cases, he's the only one making himself really known. He's competing for the little states too. This sort of long game approach, probably what it does give him, is it gives him the kingmaker position at the actual convention. That's going to be a problem too. Because who is Michael Bloomberg probably most going to oppose? Bernie Sanders, because of the economic argument. The fact that Sanders would personally insult him for being a billionaire, probably wouldn't accept his endorsement anyway. That'd be strange bedfellows. The alternative is that Bloomberg backs Sanders, makes Sanders look like he's sold out. That wouldn't be good either. This is setting up to be an actual disaster for the Democratic Party, the fact that Michael Bloomberg probably ends up with delegates without actually a commanding position. Maybe Michael Bloomberg's actually been paid by Trump just to start shit within the Democratic Party. Has anyone thought of this vague possibility? Because I've thought about it more than once, and I've thought about that with more than one candidate as well. That's about all. Peace. I'm trying to stop the video here. Peace out.